representative musical homes for all of this talent that was in Atlanta. And so when you think about those four labels, LaFace, So Def, Organized Noise, and Rowdy Records, which is Dallas, think about all of the artists that came through there. T.I. and Outkast and Monica and Usher and Jagged Edge and Escape and the Brat and Bow
Mm.
Wow and I mean Goody Mob. I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
with just those four labels, think about all the artists that came from those labels. And by the time 112 was looking for a home, these labels had already solidified their male R&B position,
Mm.
which then opened us up to start looking for opportunities outside of Atlanta. And
Mm.
then here comes Puffy and Bad Boy, New York based. And so we leave from Atlanta and go up to New York. And 112 and Bad Boy became synonymous.
Yeah. But when did you personally think about pursuing a career as a singer? And actually, we also talk about songwriter because you pretty much wrote 90% of the 112 catalog. But when did you discover that talent of singing and writing?
As early as I can remember, my mom says 1, 2 years old, I would hum and just was a noise box. But I remember as early as maybe 4 years old, singing in the church choir, um, and just singing around the house, wanting to emulate or imitate those that my mom was playing throughout the house. Anita Baker, Smokey Robinson, a lot of the gospel artists. I would just imitate them. And my mother and my father at one point realized like he does this all the time, whether
Mm.
he think he's doing it or whether he's asked to do it, he just does it all the time. So there may be something. And so I'm so grateful that they was able to identify that this was something that I gravitated to. And they supported me in every way that they possibly could, from, you know, taking me back and forth to voice lessons. And then
Mm.
when I was in the elementary school choir, traveling and driving me to city competitions and state competitions. And I ran across my elementary school teacher, my course teacher, Miss Cynthia Terry, who really just she stayed on me, man. She just said, "Yo, regardless of you being ridiculed, because back then singing wasn't cool, and if
Mm.
you were a singer, your classmates made fun of you, they picked on you,
Wow.
called you names because you were singing." And my music teacher would always tell me, she said, "Quintus, don't worry about what they say because they just don't understand that this will take you to places that you've never imagined. If you commit to it and you give it its just due, it'll take you places." And maybe she was a prophet. She knew what was ahead,
Ah, wow.
but she planted that seed in me in elementary school, and I've never forgotten Miss Cynthia Terry.
Man, so for those of us that are outside of America, that's like primary school. So that's quite young to be able to
Yeah,
be inspired by that.
yeah.
What about when did you get into writing?
Writing, I didn't get into writing until I met my brothers, Mike, Slim, and Duran. We had an idea that we were going to be a self-contained unit.
Mm.
So, being the last member to join the group, Mike, Slim, and Duran were already steps ahead of me. They were already writing songs. And in order for me to be in the group, I had to carry my own weight. And yeah, we sang cover songs, but we took pride in creating originals. And just being with them every day, listening to Cadence, Duran, being a producer and
Mm.
a musician, pianist, I would just listen to everything. Then I started listening to other genres of music. I was sneaking listen to it because my parents wouldn't allow us to listen to anything outside of gospel. And I just fell in love with the fact that I could think of something, or I can fantasize about something, or I can dream of something and then articulate it musically. Man, that was like, wow, this is fun. But I also am the voice for the voiceless. I am also the orator for those who wants to say something but necessarily can't put the words together. So that became what drove me as a songwriter, just narrating our lives.
Mm. The you mentioned about your parents saying about, you can only listen to gospel music. Were you also the generation that actually sang in church and home to talent in church?
Absolutely. I believe the church is the greatest teacher, is where you get your reps, you build your chops, you build tough skin.
Mm,
Um, so it was the greatest for me. My developmental stages were super vital in just my growth as a musician. But when you think about all of the other artists that also got their start in church,
mm.
we just different, man.
Yeah.
We different. We just different. Yeah.
Well, that's what's lacking in today's music is that there is the foundation that you had in church and the audience and the ability to connect with the orator of music is missing, and so you have everyone sounding like they're rapping on autotunes, and so you can see why there's a disconnect to us to current R&B new artists, not those who've gone through the process.
Yeah.
Um, so with that though, um, which artists did you sort of gravitate to when it came to your vocal style and how you thought you wanted to be as a singer?
So I was heavily influenced by initially gospel artists. So John P. Key, commissioned,
Okay.
Derek Coley, The Winans, Take Six. Um, but then as I got older and I could kind of, you know, sneak and listen to some stuff here and there, my mom was very interesting, right? We couldn't listen to secular music, is what they called it then. But my mother loved Anita Baker. She loved
Ah,
Regina Bell. She
mm,
loved Smokey Robinson. And so she would play those songs. And so those were a lot of my early influences. And then when I got in maybe my high school years, I was able to branch out a little bit more. BB and CC Winans, who had a gospel, they were gospel genre, but their delivery seemed like it
yeah,
was R&B a little bit.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Commission had that R&B kind of approach to their delivery, the Winans somewhat. And then I was introduced to like Brian McKnight, Boys to
Mm,
Men, and Jodeci, and now my R&B approach started to
uh,
be developed. I had the gospel and just the natural ability to sing, but learning how to perform an R&B record is something that you have to learn because it is
mm,
a skill. Just because you can sing doesn't mean you can deliver an R&B record. There are certain nuances that you have to learn in how to properly deliver an R&B record. And once I started listening to those, and then Mike Slim and Duran, I'm with them every day, and so I'm picking up little things from them. Just adding it to my bag, right?
yeah.
And now it got me to the point where I had just grabbed so many things from so many people into my little gumbo mix that when I was ready to deliver what does the Q Parker sound like,
Yeah.
I could deliver my voice, but it's influenced by all these ingredients that's in my gumbo delivery.
Okay. Was there ever a time because I know you're a solo artist now, but back then, were you ever thinking about being a solo artist, or were you always thinking about being in a group?
I never thought about being a solo artist. I came into this game with my brothers, and as far as I could see as a teenager, that was just the only vehicle that I and we would ride in.
Oh.
However, as we grow as men, as we
Mm,
grow, some things you have different set of priorities, you have different interests, and there came a point in time where we decided that we would allow ourselves to explore our individuality.
yeah.
And as a songwriter, I was writing songs in my studio to submit to other artists. And every now and then I would get a song that I just felt no one could deliver but me. And so I would put it over to the side Well, after a while, I had about 8 records over to the side, which then became like the foundation of my first solo project in 2012. So big shout out to Malico and Tummy Couch, father and son, for seeing something in me to give me an opportunity to release my first solo album under Malico Records.
Okay, but initially you probably is it the confidence thing about wanting to be part of starting with a group and finding your voice in a
Yeah,
group as opposed to, I always want to be solo, but I saw this opportunity. But initially it was about, being in a group was the best
yeah,
way to find your voice. Who were your
yeah.
influences then, group wise then? Because I know Jodeci was out and Drew Hill and Blackstreet and Silk. They're all.
Anybody that came before. So, if you look at it from like classes, right? Like a graduating class. Our class was 112, Jagged Edge, Drew Hill, Next.
Mm,
Um, that's our class.
yeah, yeah,
The class before us would be Silk and Blackstreet, Silk, Intro,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
H Town,
yeah,
right? But then the class before them would be Jodeci, Boys to Men, right? So it's different. It's classes,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
so when you talk about group influences, anybody that graduated in the class before me and us were an influence to us because we needed to make sure that we didn't drop the ball, the
yeah.
legacy baton.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that kind of.
And somewhere in between
us for even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay.
They understand what Jonas boys and men all
Play it.
And all these guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different genres.